maybe checking out It's Alive. Imagine you're excited that your wife is gonna have a baby, and she wakes up in the middle of the night telling you it's time. But you better hurry up, that bun is ready to come out of the oven.
My back!
You wake up your older child who is sleeping with his kitten, and while he's excited to see his baby brother or sister, he decides it's a good idea to tell you that, chicks be dying popping out kids. Which is exactly what you imagine you want to hear if your wife is going into labor. So you drop your child off to your best friend's house and you head to the ominous looking hospital. You're gonna be a dad for a second time and you're more than excited, but your wife feels like something is wrong and she's getting stressed and the doctor's telling her to shut her trap and let him do his job, but she's still convinced that something's wrong while the doctor's down there between her legs saying the baby's hella huge, bro.
Damn, boy, he's sick!
The doctor's remarking how the baby's got main character energy and it's just out of this world, like fucking Goku is coming out of her. And then in the waiting room, your happiness, your eager expectation of this child coming to the world is dashed. There is screaming and someone comes stumbling out and it's revealed that something killed him. I don't know how with this type of wound, but anyway, let's just go with it. Not to mention the baby is gone and all the nurses and people that were in the room except the mother are dead. So naturally you think that your baby is abducted. You're not thinking that the baby, your wife's child, the child that you guys made together, popped out of her and ate everybody that was in the room and then took off through the roof into the night. You're not thinking that El Diablo is going to come out of your wife. And if that were the case, who put it there? Because it couldn't be you. Oh, surely not. You're not a freaking archangel demon thing. So the last bastion of thought is someone abducted the baby and went through a hole the size of a baby's head. That...
I assure you, Mrs. Davis, your baby is very much alive.
What the hell did you just say to me?
So now, understandably, everybody's on the alert for this demon baby. And that is the story of this man, Frank, and his wife, Lenore.
Lenore, can you hear me, darling? Somebody might have abducted our baby, and I'm holding this hospital responsible.
The movie suspensefully draws out the witch hunt for this creature, who is actually terrified and only kills because it is afraid, and it's looking for its pappy and its mommy. Obviously, everyone wants to get rid of it because it's killed human beings, and the thing can't be human because what pops out of a woman's vagina and just goes on a killing spree like it's a freaking werewolf? It's not normal. And this actually does feel like the prequel to X-Men. Anyway, Frank, the main character, loses his job because the police decided to mention his and his wife's name on the radio so people knew that they were the parent of this beast. Even though they don't blame them, it's a little bit insensitive. But since main character Frank works for a public relation company, it's just bad for business if he's in the midst of controversy.
Frank, we're running a public relations business here.
But I just find it very odd that in this universe, nobody is reacting in the way you'd expect people to react when a freaking vampire werewolf baby has just gushed out of a human woman being. Frank doesn't know he's getting fired, he's just told that he's taking his vacation time. So he drives his wife home and tries to get back to normal even though it is clearly bothering him that Count Dracula is the result of his seed. Now they know that indulging in a bit too much alcohol and mixing it with opioids doesn't bode well for conceiving a child.
Another one.
I guess you know we lost our last baby.
Look, you're lucky you don't have grown kids nowadays.
What the hell is this dialogue? Man, we lost our last baby. Oh, dude, you're so lucky.
People without children don't realize how lucky they are.
Well, now that everybody knows Frank and Lenore's names, they've been bombarded with the media. They're eager to get a sliver of information about the spawn of Satan, so hopefully the parents can tell them something. And Lenore's not feeling well because, well, she just gave birth to a huge-ass baby, and they had to cut her to take it out, ouch, before it ended up bodying everybody in the room. And this sleazy nurse who's supposed to be taking care of her is secretly recording her, which Lenore finds out. And I know this has to be the most annoying thing ever, and I would never trust people again.
What do you want me to say?
Just say anything you feel.
A tape recorder.
Really, I'm a registered nurse, and I write a little on the side.
That's suspicious.
These poor parents are really going through it. Again, opioids and alcohol. The baby RPG mob is still on the loose, and as the police and some other scientists close in on it, they keep updating Frank, the father. Frank is completely disconnected from this thing, and he wants it destroyed more than anybody. I mean, he's a bit too invested in it, but I guess I understand. Meanwhile, Frank's best friend tries to keep his son off the TV, so he takes him a fishing. Good luck making that work today. What an interesting time it must have been when adults and kids didn't have cell phones. It makes for more interesting horror movies, that's for sure. But imagine, little spawn of Satan must be hungry, not getting to sup from the tap of creamy breast sustenance. So he targets the UPS truck, but it's for milk? Okay. What is this, a subscription? Or was there Amazon back then for cream and dairy? where you could order milk to your doorstep. I mean, I've heard old people kind of talk about this, but this is the first time I've actually seen it portrayed in a movie. It's so bizarre, but it looks so delicious. What if you don't know it's there and then it stays out there for days? Did they give you a time of day and the week when they're going to come by so the milk isn't sitting out there spoiling? I mean, it's not like it's in a cooler. Disgusting. Anyway, the milkman dies, and not only does he die, but he dies in a horrific way that makes it look as though the little tiny demon thing has the strength of 3 grown men. Wait, gotta see the shot of blood mixing in with the milk, because it's always a thing with these old movies for some reason. Whether it be cookie dough or milk, white always looks good with a tinge of red. While the officers and everyone's looking for the spawn of Satan, getting closer and closer on its trail, it's clear that the mother doesn't really want them to kill it. Of course she's not. She gave birth to it even though she doesn't know what it looks like. Later they find out that the demon muffin top head took a field trip to that same school that Lenore and Frank's child went to. How would it know? They never address it. It must have some sixth sense or absorb the mother's memories or something, because that's one hell of a coincidence, unless it can smell that she and the father have been there, or its brother. What is it smelling? Their human essence? The entire time, Frank just keeps saying, destroy it. I don't care about it. Which obviously tells me that he probably is going to end up caring about it and not wanting to destroy it. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
I see where this is going.
Well, surprise, surprise, and wipe my tummy with a wet cloth and douse my fingers in Robitussin. The wee little thing made it to its parents' house. It sure has a very strong sense of smell or mind muscle or whatever the hell. Lenore starts acting creepy, and it's so clear that she's feeding this thing, she knows it's in the house. After we've seen her husband check to see that there are 2 refrigerators. I guess one is a freezer that looks like a refrigerator filled with milk and meat. Later on, the milk and meat are completely gone. My question is, even if this thing eats as much as a caterpillar for its body size, where is it shitting? Lenore and Frank's little boy knows something's up, and he thinks his parents are mad at him and they won't say anything about the baby. Don't know why. They want to hide the news from him, and I get that, but at some point he's going to have to come back home and go to school, so what do they think they're accomplishing by doing this? Anyway, he bounces from the family friend's house and runs all the way home. Chris, the little boy, realizes that the baby is in the basement with him, and he knows something is odd about it, but he swears and tells the baby, I'll protect you. Hello? And he doesn't need to be afraid because, it's totally normal that a baby is crawling around in the basement in the dark after having just been born. Is it a normal thing in this universe? Who knows? Frank comes down and realizes that Chris is home, and Frank tries to kill the spawn with the gun, but it takes off and ends up quickly killing Frank's best friend, who is at the basement door outside looking for Chris because he realized Chris ran away. Of course, Frank is distraught even though you can't really tell. And he tells his son that this thing is not related to us because it can't be. Because, well, why would it be, even though it came out of your wife and your... Anyway.
Because
Frank shot it, it's leaking blood everywhere, but somehow refuses to die. The amount of blood that it lost for its body size is staggering, but it's still alive. Then again, normal in this universe? Who knows? So they end up tracing it through the sewers where it's traveling in order to not be seen. The sheer intelligence that this thing has is really crazy. Of course, Frank wants to be the one to kill it because it's his responsibility, but after they give him a gun, which is very bold of the police back then to do, he finds the baby spawn Satan Butterface thing, and his fatherly instincts kick in, and he puts down his gun and is now running away with the baby to God knows where, trying to save it. The baby trusts him, but is scared and crying, and at this point of the movie, I honestly feel like this is so freaking sad. Like, the movie is a bit corny, and it's an old movie, and not in the least bit scary to me, but it just goes to show you what parents are willing to do despite how they look. That sounded mean, but it's true. But anyway, the last part was kind of odd to me, because while Frank is refusing to give his baby up, saying he'll only do so if they agree not to kill him and just to study him, don't know how that's better, though. Yeah, we won't kill him, Frank. We'll just poke him with needles and cut him open for the rest of his life and keep him captive. And then when he's adult, we'll squish his balls and gauge his reactions and aggression. But then it seems as though Frank straight up tosses the baby into the face of the officers when he already knows that it kills people by biting the jugular open or scratching them. How was that not attempted murder? The way they edited this movie was so strange and so haphazard that half the time you don't even know what the hell's going on. It feels so disjointed at parts. It almost comes off like a comedy. Anyway, the mother and the father, Frank and Lenore, are able to go home scot-free, of course, because it's not their fault that they gave birth to a gargoyle. But just as the movie is ending, the officer is getting ready to drive them home. He gets another call.
Another one's been born in Seattle.
Oh no, like I said, X-Men or some sort of parasitic alien thing using women as carriers or some kind of mutation from some drug they were taking, and they alluded to that in the movie. Either way, the movie It's Alive was a weird adventure, and at least they took a chance with something. As stupid and corny as these movies are, I kind of wish we'd get more of those in modern days because I feel like we just don't have enough. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.